to jump on here real quick and just show you another job that I'm working on right now. I thought it would be kind of important to show this one because we're in another town situation with permitting and our size allowance. So I just wanted to show again how I get that and how I kind of move forward with that type of job. So I have here my Google Map image already of this location. This is another multi-tenant building, but this tenant here actually took over the space on the end of the building. So now they're allowed a larger square footage and they obviously want to make their sign bigger. Last time I didn't really show how I found the town code. This time I know that it's in the county again. So this is actually a Florida location and it's within Pasco County, Florida. And all I do is just Google the county or the town, and then usually words that are kind of like town code, signs, sometimes UDO. That one in North Carolina is kind of more popular, but I just Googled town code signs, and you do get a couple different things that aren't always useful. So this first one here looks like it's the actual Pasco County website, which it does give some explanation, but it's a little bit harder to read through. So I'm going to look for the actual library code. This one on Civic Plus is giving me more of like a document, which is probably the whole document of town code, but I like seeing the whole breakdown of it. So I'm going to keep looking. So this is actually Municicode, which is a really good website. I don't know if we use this one for the North Carolina job that we did before, but this one is super popular in Florida. And I'm just going to go over here and search signs to get all the different sign ones. This one looks like it's under kind of just different. This is like an overall sign one. This isn't the actual chapter that we're looking for. So down here looks like we have maybe permanent signs. Okay, so miscellaneous permits, we're going to go back up here to signs. So it's going to be this chapter 406. And then, over here we had 601, which was a different kind of sign. So this part is going to be all about, the non-conforming signs, what's exempt. That's funny. I see a sign on a vehicle, but I actually thought that said a vehicle as a sign, which when I worked for BMW, we put a vehicle on a building and it was actually considered a sign in New York City. So that's funny. Let's see. So this is kind of just giving you like an overview of different things, prohibited signs, revolving signs, activated signs and devices not meeting the requirements. Sometimes that means like blinking, like EMC board signs, stuff like that. Signs which wow, I can't even say that, resemble any traffic or government signs. Yeah, so this is just giving you like a lot of stuff you kind of don't need to know, especially if you're just doing your general wall sign or something like that. So sometimes it also gives you information about signs that don't need a permit. So that would be mostly like a real estate sign, any kind of like flag, interior sign. It's telling you a temporary sign. Again, that's like a real estate sign. Gives you the number of the amount of temporary signs you can have, the maximum sizes. But we're looking for the allowed square foot, what that is based off of your building size. So sometimes, most of the time, there should be like a table that kind of explains your type of residency. Okay. What's that one for? Okay, so that's for a ground sign. So if we were doing a ground sign like a monument or a pylon, this would be the allowable copy area. But we're doing technically a wall sign right now. It's going to be a banner for this customer because they don't know really what they want yet, but they want to utilize the maximum allowable sign square footage. So right here we have wall signs. We're not going to do the banner as a temporary sign because they are going to leave it up for pretty much their permanent sign, and we want to just comply with the code so we don't get any issues there. So here it's telling us the maximum allowable sign structure area for a wall sign shall not exceed 1.5 square feet per linear foot of establishment frontage. So in the last job that we just did, it was only 1 square foot, and here we're actually going to be allowed 1.5 square foot. So this also, for the most part, will tell you that the maximum sign structure area should not exceed a certain amount of square footage. So if you have like a huge warehouse building that's like, thousands of feet long, you actually can't go any larger than 150 square feet, which again, you can always try to get a variance for your signs, but for the most part, you are going to have to comply with the town code. But I'm sure if you have some kind of huge warehouse and you don't want this little tiny sign on it, or you want multiple signs, you probably would be allowed a little bit more than 150 square feet. But we're going to go back here. So I'm just going to show you this building again. From the gutter here to the end of the building is this new tenant space, which we actually did measure in person, but I'm going to show you how we can measure this on Google Earth Pro. So in my last video, I did a little bit overview on this as well, but Google Earth Pro I use all the time instead of going out to site, just to kind of see a roundabout linear footage of a building. And it's a little different from your street view of Google Maps because you can't measure on it. So here you can kind of walk around, you can see the street view, but in Google Earth Pro, we're gonna put in the address and it should come up just as you would, as a regular Google Map search. And we're going to click search. It's going to zoom us right in. This is my favorite part of this if you didn't watch the last video, but it is zooming us right into this industrial park where this tenant is located. And we're going to just kind of scroll in. This application, it's throwing us on the back of the building, I think, here. So this one, it kind of has a little bit more 3D look and it gives things more dimension. So it's going to... Oh, is this the right one? I think this is the wrong building. So Google Earth Pro gives us a little bit more dimension of the, it's over here, that's why. Of the building. So see how we're kind of at like an angle here? We're going to want a little bit more of a bird's eye view. So we could just use our arrows up here in the corner. I know you can't see my mouse, but the top circle is the one that I'm messing with, and just rotating this, the camera angle around. So now we're kind of right on top of the building. I can see my gutter here, and my cursor looks like a little square. We're actually just gonna click and drag out this yellow line to the end of the building. So that's actually perfectly accurate. I had from my installer that went and took a quick measurement of this building. He told me that it was 96 inches. So seeing that 96 inches up here on the ruler is crazy, knowing how accurate that's basically off by 47 inches. Probably because I went a little bit, not as accurate to the gutter and the end of the building, but that's crazy that you can get a almost straight on accurate measurement from a satellite image. And again, I know you can't see my cursor, but up here there's a little ruler, and this is the one that we clicked on to get this ruler. There's a bunch of different things that you could do to actually measure. You could measure squares, you could measure acres, all that kind of stuff, centimeters, anything you want. And we just clicked here, dragged out our little yellow line, ended it there, and we got 96 feet as our linear storefront footage. So we're gonna go to Corel now, which is my favorite program to work with in the sign industry. And this picture isn't that great because it's actually not including the end part of the building that the tenant is occupying now. But I originally did a Oh, I have to, oh, I'm blocking out their old sign there. So, oh, okay. So, the tenant, like I said, they're moving over to, they're occupying this last space of the building, but my picture right now is sized based off of, I think it was a gutter to gutter, measurement, but I'm just gonna lay this out. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking that 96 square feet, and we're gonna calculate it and try to figure out what kind of size banner we're allowed. That's the biggest one. So if you're really good at math, good for you. Like, you're gonna know exactly what that 96 square feet is gonna be equal to. Me, not so good at math, can't really compute inches into feet that well, so I have it accurately sized here now, but what I did was I basically took, I think it was like a 2 by 3, so if I was at like 24 inches, oh, 2 by 4. So I made a 2 by 4 banner, which I knew I laid it out in a 2 by 4. I put their logo in there, and I know they want to add a phone number. I don't think they want that much other information, but basically I took that um, size. So I did a 2 by 4. Obviously, that's way too small. That is going to compute in square feet to yeah, eight. This is 8 square feet right now. So we're allowed 96 square feet. This sign is 8 square feet. So we're just going to keep bumping up this size. You do want to keep your measurements locked in because this is going to keep the shape of the banner that you're doing right now. So I could bump this up to say 60. We can that's 5 feet. I know that. So that's 5 by 10. So 5 by 10 is 50 square feet, which we're still allowed quite a bit more. So I'm just going to keep bumping this number up, basically per foot. So I'm going to go to 96 and just see what that comes out to be. So that's going to be 8 feet tall by 16 feet wide. So 8 times 16 is 128. That is way too big. We are over the square footage for that size. So let's do 7. So 84. We're going to do, okay, so that's 7 feet tall right now by 14 feet wide. And if we times 7 by 14, we're at 98 square feet. I think that's the closest we're going to get. I mean, I don't believe that the town here, just because it's like in an industrial park, a lot of the other businesses have signs that aren't even permitted at all. But I don't believe anybody here from the town is going to come out and measure this banner and say that, oh, you're 2 square feet over. I mean, if the customer really wants to have it completely accurate, or you are applying for permits, which again, we're not applying for permits here because it is technically a temporary sign, but just because they're leaving it up for a long period of time, we're going to comply with the square footage, but we're just not going to get the permits. So if for whatever reason they end up having to apply for the permits, in the future because they're leaving this up as a permanent sign, then they will at least already have their sign. It'll already be within the square footage. All they'll have to do is apply and receive their permit for it. But again, being within the 2 square feet is not that big of a deal. So yeah, now the next thing that I would do is I actually should lay this out on the full image of the building. So I'll kind of show you how I sized my first image, which this one is actually pretty big already, so it's giving me a little bit of a hard time. This actually might not be a good image to work with. I think for the most part, I'm not really going to size this full Google photo just because it's going to be way too big. I'm going to crop this a little bit and get closer to the building. But if I completely size this accurately, I think that the image itself is going to be too big. So we're going to kind of just guesstimate what it's going to look like on the building, knowing actually what it looks like here. So to cover up these other ones, I just want to make sure that, the client can get a pretty good visual. Oops, I wasn't clicked on the image. We want to make sure the client can get a pretty good visual of what their sign is going to look like on the building. So I'm going to block out all these other signs on here so they can see what it's going to look like. And basically right there, I just cropped out a piece of the building and I'm going to move it over here just to blur these out and blend them in a little bit more so it looks like it's a blank building now. But I cropped out that shape of the building and then now I'm just copying and pasting it to cover up these signs over here. They don't have to be that accurate, but okay. So I have that and I'm gonna go back and grab my banner. And we're gonna scale it down and I'm just gonna try to match right now the way the other one looks on the building. So I have quite a bit of space on the top and bottom. I'm just gonna try to match it up here. Probably like that. So they want to actually put the sign on the end of the building so it's a little bit more visually seen. This tree is actually bigger now and kind of hangs over, so I think their other sign wasn't really being seen at all, but we are gonna put it there on the end of the building. So if you watch the other video too, I like to do the full building image first on a separate page, and then I'll also go back and do the actual size of the banner on a different page with the layout so the customer can first get the little wow factor of seeing their sign on their building for the first time without having all the measurements in the way and, all the descriptions or things that you might want to put on the other page. This is pretty simple because it is just a banner, so we don't have to describe, any illumination or the material call outs or anything like that. So this is just I think we're going to do like an 18-ounce banner here. On the first page, when I do this drawing of the building, I like to call out where I measured and the size of that measurement. So we're going to do it from the gutter to the end of the building. This tool here, the parallel dimension tool in CorelDraw, is awesome. It does size correctly, which right now I scaled this drawing down to the size of a piece of paper. So it is accurate as far as this piece of paper, but not for the building. So I'm going to break the dimension apart and then double click on the text box here and we're going to put the 96 feet. I like putting this on the front page. I make it a little bigger. I want it to be seen because if for any reason your measurement is off, then this is what you're basically telling the customer what you measured off of. So if you go and you only had like 50 feet here for some reason, or maybe you wrote 50 feet down, but you only measured in between a gutter for 50 feet or two gutters, if you're calling that out, you're kind of showing the customer right up front that, hey, like this is what I based all my measurements off of. So that's what you're getting. Like, and if you go back later and you both discover that, the building was 96 feet, and you're only calling out 50 feet, then obviously something was wrong and your pricing has to change, which is the most important part, right? So here we're going to call it out that it's 96 feet. We're going to add a second page down here on the bottom. There's a little plus button and it's going to give us our second page. I'm going to double click on my square to give it outline of that. And again, this is scaled down to a regular size piece of paper. You could see up here, it's 8.5 by 11. Sometimes people like to work in like the 11 by 17s, but I always just do the horizontal piece of paper. So I'm going to copy my layout. I'm going to paste it here. Oh, I have the background of the building in there. And this isn't a final layout for the customer either. So, like I said, they want to put their phone number on there. They might want to add a couple other things, an email address or something that would be important for their customers to see. But all I'm going to do here is call out the size of the banner so they know how big we're quoting this banner for them. And these parallel dimension tools are awesome. You can do a lot with them. You can actually change the arrows. So up here, you can make it any kind of different little end image here. I actually usually change it to a smaller arrow, which I think is all the way up here. Yeah, that's my favorite arrow. And I'll do other videos in Corel, but you can kind of save your presets to what you want it to look like. Right now, I'm just going to do these both ones because they're easier. You can also change where you want the text to be. So you could put the text below, you could put it in the middle, you could put it above. You could do a lot of different things with these parallel dimensions, and that's just another reason why I love Corel so much. But we're going to break this one apart again, and we're going to put in here that this is that 14 feet. Make it a little bigger. Same thing over here. And you can, you see me change the color to red on the other one, but the blue, I mean, if I'm just doing this, I'll keep it blue, but I obviously like to work with black a lot, so I'll change it if I want it to be super pretty. I'll change all those little things around and just make it better looking, I guess. And then once you break that dimension apart, your text isn't going to change. So when we first did it, it came accurately to whatever it was. I think it was 6 inches, but once you break that dimension apart, your size is kind of gone because you're typing in what you want. So you're overriding basically that text. And once you do that and you make this bigger or smaller, that text isn't going to change anymore. So if you don't want that size to change, if you want it to be accurate all the time, don't break your dimension apart. Don't change the text there, and it will stay accurate. So we're just going to call the size out here. That's going to show them what the banner is, and then I usually will add my header. I don't have a file open. Let me grab one. Okay, so I just grabbed a header real quick from another file, which this had the logo of the company on it over here and the address, and then on the bottom it kind of just gives a little, thing that says please read the proof carefully. Once approved, name of the company will not be financially responsible for misspellings or incorrect layout. I will put the date on here, and this is just making it look a little bit more professional for the client. This isn't probably a final proof, and it also isn't calling out any materials. If you watch the other video, I had a different header that actually called out all the material. So here I'm just gonna put that it's an 18-ounce single, if I could spell, single-sided banner, digitally printed with grommets. So it doesn't need that much description. I mean, it's a super simple project, but all this stuff is kind of just showing them that you know what you're talking about. With the size, you could do either 13 ounce or 18 ounce, and then that it's a single-sided banner, and we're going to be installing this on that building. So this is a pretty simple project, but now I can copy the header over to this page too. And then I also said in the other video how I like to screenshot these and put them right into the body of an email if I'm emailing the customer the estimate. I don't want them to have a million different attachments to kind of look through, so I'll attach the estimate only because it comes from our system, but I'll also type out in the body of the email the pricing, and then I will put this photo of the building and then the photo of the sign right below it in the body of the email, because I've gotten a lot of feedback of the wow factor, like seeing their sign on the building right away is kind of like, oh wow, you took my logo, you put it on the building, you made it look good, you called the measurements out, you called the descriptions out. Like, it's a little bit of a wow factor instead of them trying to find different attachments and files and open things and accidentally download it but not find it and don't know where they saved it. So if you just put it right into the body of the email, it's kind of like no mistakes are made and it's right there. They can see it, and, you know, then they're more focused on the price and what you're offering them rather than trying to just open the file that you sent them. So, um, yeah, I think that's it as far as doing this layout. Oh, the one tool I just wanted to show you because I like showing this in all my videos, but the snipping tool is one that you can download from the Microsoft Store. This is kind of coming, I think it actually came on this laptop. I have a Spectra laptop and it's HP, but any Windows or Microsoft kind of laptops or desktops now are coming with this tool. But like I said, you could download it. It's called a snipping tool. It's basically to take screenshots of images instead of having to use like I mean, you can use your keys, but for my computer, I actually don't have some of the keys and it is super frustrating. But you just click new and then your screen's gonna kind of black out a little bit. I'm losing my voice. And you're gonna click and drag and it's going to take that screenshot for you. So this copies it right to your clipboard. It saves it in a file called screenshots on your file explorer, and you can also mark it up and do other stuff here. I don't know if you can see that, but you can click undo down here. You can highlight stuff. You can erase part of the image. You can do a whole bunch of stuff. You can even record videos. I don't think it does it too long though. And then if you do draw or mock up anything on here, you can resave it. But it does copy it right to your clipboard. So here you could see this is how I saved the screenshot before, and we clicked paste and it's going to paste that image right in here. So that's how I just copy it here and I paste it right into the body of the email. And then I would also export this as a PDF document just to keep in our files, or, you know, you can attach it to the email, but it might get kind of confusing for them too. The other thing I realize a lot with that is if you do export something, say I export this as a PDF, it's going to be vector. So if they know what they're doing, they can take this and send this right to another company after you kind of just spent your time laying this out. So if you do a screenshot, which actually converts it to like a really crappy JPEG, that person, they can't use it as a vector file, which is kind of another reason why I like doing that in the initiative like estimate. But obviously once you move forward with that customer, you can give them this file in a PDF because they might need it for, you know, any other reason that isn't kind of related to sign world stuff either. Or maybe you do t-shirts or something like that. But, you know, for me, I focus mainly on the signs, and you know, if they need that file for anything else, they would have it. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to me, because I'll be making more videos that are similar to this. And in CorelDraw, I do some sign agent videos, which is another computer program that I like to use. I'll be doing some Dropbox videos to show you how I organize my files, a couple other project management stuff, and eventually I'll get into more graphic design graphic design videos, and some finance videos as well. So let me know if you want to see anything or if you have any questions. Thank you.